You know that saying about how one bad decision can ruin your entire life? Yeah, I'm basically the poster child for that now. I'm Tessa, 29, and 6 months ago I was living in a cute 3-bedroom house with a yard and a husband who adored me. Now I'm washing my hair in a Planet Fitness bathroom and sleeping in the back of my 2015 Honda Civic. Between us, I still don't think I deserve this. Everyone acts like I committed some horrible crime, but they weren't the ones sitting alone night after night while their husband was halfway across the world playing war hero. It all started last year when Jake got his deployment orders, 12 whole months in some dusty hellhole overseas. I'd been through 3 deployments before, but this one hit different. We'd just bought our house. I was working this soul-crushing admin job, and suddenly I was facing a year of coming home to an empty house and Netflix asking if I was still watching. Yes, Netflix, I'm still watching. Because what else am I supposed to do? The military wives in our neighborhood are these perfect little Stepford robots with their care packages and countdown calendars. In my head, I always called them the deployment cheerleaders, always posting those dramatic airport reunion videos. Like, calm down Brittany, he was only gone for 6 months. 2 weeks after Jake left, I ran into Caleb at the grocery store. Caleb and I dated for 3 years before I met Jake, and it ended because he couldn't commit. Classic. He looked good. Like, really good. He'd filled out, gotten some tattoos, grown. We got to talking, and it turned out he'd just moved back to town after his divorce, but couldn't find a place because of his garbage credit score. I mentioned how empty the house felt with Jake gone, and the words just tumbled out. You could stay in our spare room until you find a place if you want. I told myself it was innocent, just helping an old friend, being a good person. When I told Jake during our next video call, I kept it super casual. Remember my friend Caleb? He's going through a rough patch, so I told him he could use the guest room for a few weeks. Jake hesitated. I could tell he remembered exactly who Caleb was, but he did that thing where he tries to be the bigger person. If you think it's a good idea, I trust you. That's Jake, always trying to prove he's so evolved and trusting. Honestly, it was kind of annoying, like maybe show a little jealousy, but whatever. Caleb moved in the next weekend with just 2 duffel bags and his guitar. At first, we were so careful around each other, like awkward roommates, all excuse me. And after you and closed bedroom doors, but you can only be awkward for so long when you're the only 2 people in a house. Within a month, we were cooking dinner together and watching movies on the couch. Nothing physical was happening, so in my mind, I wasn't doing anything wrong. Jake and I video chatted twice a week, and I make sure Caleb was nowhere around. I started making excuses for why I couldn't talk longer. Work was busy, I was meeting friends, I was tired. The truth? Caleb and I were planning to try this new Italian place, or he was teaching me how to play poker. My friend, Melissa from work, stopped by unexpectedly one evening and saw us laughing on the couch, wine glasses in hand, definitely sitting closer than old friends should be. She got all weird and quiet and later texted me, "Does Jake know how cozy you 2 are?" I blocked her number. What business was it of hers? Between us, I wanted to tell her to go home to her cats and her sad frozen dinners and leave me alone. These women are also judgmental while their lives are falling apart too. By month 4, things with Caleb had become comfortable. Too comfortable, I started wearing cuter outfits around the house. Nothing crazy, just trading my ratty sweats for those yoga pants that make my butt look good, and maybe putting on some mascara before coming downstairs for breakfast. Caleb noticed. He'd whistle or make some comment about how Jake was a lucky guy, and I'd pretend to be annoyed while secretly loving the attention. I deserved to feel appreciated, right? Jake was off having his big adventure with his military buddies, while I was stuck at home paying bills and killing spiders by myself. Caleb and I fell into this routine that felt weirdly domestic. We'd grocery shop together on Sundays, split the cooking duties, and even started this tradition of margarita Mondays where we'd make drinks and play cards. One night after maybe 1 too many margaritas, Caleb mentioned how his ex-wife never appreciated him, and somehow that turned into a whole conversation about how Jake didn't appreciate me either. He volunteered for this deployment, you know? I told Caleb, the words bitter in my mouth. He could have requested to stay side, but knew he had to go play hero. I hadn't even admitted that to myself before, but once I said it out loud, I couldn't stop thinking about it. When Jake's mom called to check on me, I put on my perfect military wife voice. "Oh, we're doing great with the distance." just counting down the days. Meanwhile, I was literally counting down the minutes until her call would end so Caleb and I could continue our movie. In my head, I was thinking how Jake's mom was always so nosy. Like, don't you have someone else to mother, hun? Between us, all these military wives and mothers act like they deserve medals for basic support roles. My friend Danielle invited me to a military wives support group meeting, and I actually laughed. In her face, I'm doing just fine on my own, thanks. What I didn't tell her was that I wasn't on my own at all. When she pressed, asking if I was really coping okay with Jake gone, I snapped. Some of us don't need constant hand-holding, Danny. She gave me this look, part hurt, part suspicion, and stopped inviting me to things after that. Good riddance, those gatherings were just pity parties anyway. The real shift happened when I started making excuses to miss Jake's video calls. Sorry, can't talk tonight, terrible migraine, or work emergency rain check. I text excuses while sitting on the couch with Caleb, his arm casually draped behind me. I wasn't cheating, not physically anyway, so I told myself it was fine. Jake was the one who left after all. Was I just supposed to put my life on pause for a year? Caleb's few weeks had turned into 5 months with zero mention of him finding his own place. One night, Jake asked on our call when Caleb was planning to move out. I got defensive immediately. He's really helped me around the house, actually. The garbage disposal broke last week and he fixed it. When would you have done that? Jake got quiet, and I knew I'd struck a nerve. Good, let him feel bad about leaving me to handle everything alone. When Jake's buddy Ryan from his unit stopped by to drop off some paperwork for me to sign. He definitely noticed Caleb's stuff everywhere. His jackets on the coat rack, his favorite beer in the fridge, his shoes by the door. Ryan gave me this look and I just stared back, daring him to say something. He didn't, but 2 days later, Jake called asking more questions about Caleb. I exploded. Oh, so Ryan's spying on me now? Nice, Jake. Real nice. Good to know how much you trust me. I hung up on him mid-sentence and ignored his calls for 3 days. When I finally picked up, I made him apologize to me. Things crossed a line. One night in month 6. Caleb and I were having our usual evening wine and movie routine when the power went out during a storm. We lit candles, brought out more wine, and sat on the floor swapping stories. The candlelight did something to his face, softened it, made him look like the boy I fell for all those years ago. When he brushed my hair away from my face, I didn't stop him. When he leaned in, I didn't pull back. The kiss was God. It was electric. Like every cell in my body had been asleep and suddenly woke up. I'd like to say I pushed him away after that first kiss, that I remembered my vows and my husband fighting for our country. But I didn't. We ended up making out on the couch like teenagers, and it felt so good to be wanted, to be touched, to not feel so damn lonely for once. We didn't go all the way. I still had that line I wouldn't cross. But what we did do was bad enough. The next morning, I woke up feeling a mix of guilt and exhilaration. Caleb made pancakes like nothing had happened. I skipped my next video call with Jake entirely, claiming food poisoning. How could I look at his face after what I'd done? But the thing is, after a few days, the guilt started to fade. I told myself Jake was probably surrounded by female soldiers over there, and who knows what he was doing. He couldn't possibly understand how hard it was being alone for months on end. If he really loved me, he wouldn't have left me alone for so long. Caleb and I didn't talk about the kiss directly, but things had changed. There was this current between us now, this unspoken possibility. We'd sit closer on the couch, let our hands brush when passing things to each other. We never defined what was happening, which made it easier for me to pretend it wasn't really happening at all. It got to where I dreaded Jake's calls. Every "I love you and I miss you" felt like an accusation, though he had no idea what was going on. When he asked why Caleb was still living with us after 6 months, I turned it around on him. You should be thanking him for keeping me company while you're gone. Do you have any idea how lonely I've been? Jake looked hurt, and part of me enjoyed seeing it. Let him hurt a little. I'd been hurting for months. The women in our military neighborhood definitely knew something was up. I'd catch their stares when Caleb and I would leave the house together, or come home with takeout. That witch Shannon from 3 doors down actually had the nerve to ask me in the grocery store if Jake knew I had company so often. I smiled sweetly and said, Jake trusts me completely. Some marriages actually have that. In my head, I was calling her every nasty name I could think of. Between us, These women were just jealous that I had someone to keep me warm at night while they were home alone, scrolling through their husbands' deployment photos for the 100th time. Caleb had fully settled in by this point. His mail came to our address. He knew the security code to the garage. He'd even rearranged the living room furniture without asking me. And I let him because, honestly, it looked better his way. Jake would comment sometimes about how different the house looked on our video calls, and I'd just shrug it off. Needed a change. You've been gone forever. Things evolve. I started canceling plans with any friends who knew Jake. It was easier than navigating their judgmental glances or pointed questions. Instead, I'd go out with Caleb to places where nobody knew. US, where we could act like a couple without the weight of my marriage hanging over us. I told myself I was just having fun, keeping myself occupied until Jake returned. It wasn't like I was planning to leave Jake or anything. Caleb was just filling a void. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was a random Tuesday night. In month 8 of Jake's deployment, I was lounging on the couch in one of Jake's old t-shirts, which I'd started letting Caleb wear, if I'm being honest, scrolling through my phone while Caleb played video games. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. Surprise. Got some unexpected news. Call me when you can. I felt this immediate knot in my stomach, but told myself it was nothing, probably just a change in his rotation or something. When I called, his face appeared on screen with this huge smile that made my heart sink. I'm coming home early. Got a minor injury, nothing serious, just a sprained ankle. But they're sending me and a few others back for some specialized training. I'll be home in 3 days. 3 days. My mind went completely blank. I somehow managed to say all the right things. That's amazing. Can't wait to see you. What a wonderful surprise, while internally having a complete meltdown. As soon as we hung up, I turned to Caleb, who had heard the whole thing. You need to move out. Now. Caleb, who had been perfectly content to live rent-free in my house for 8 months, suddenly got all offended. Where am I supposed to go on such short notice? That was my problem. I reminded him this was always temporary, but he just laughed. Temporary? Tessa, we've been playing house for months. Don't act like this hasn't been working for both of us. The next 2 days were chaos. I was cleaning like a maniac, trying to erase any evidence of how domestic Caleb and I had become. I threw all his toiletries into a box, collected his scattered belongings from around the house, and washed the sheets on every bed, even though we'd never crossed that line. Caleb dragged his feet the entire time, only half-heartedly packing while making these little comments designed to make me feel guilty. So that's it. Jake snaps his fingers and I'm out on the street? I thought what we had meant something to you. You're going back to your perfect little military wife routine now? I was trying to explain to him that he needed to be gone before Jake arrived when headlights swept across the living room window. A car door slammed. My heart stopped. It couldn't be. Jake wasn't supposed to be home until tomorrow. But it was. There he stood on our front porch, duffel bag at his feet, leaning slightly on a crutch, his face tired but happy. And there I was, standing in the doorway with panic written all over my face, while behind me, Caleb lounged on our couch with a beer in hand, clearly at home. The look on Jake's face as he took in the scene. I'll never forget it. Not anger, not even shock. Just this awful dawning realization, this quiet hurt that was somehow worse than if he'd started screaming. His eyes moved from Caleb to me, then to the half-packed boxes, then back to me. What's going on, Tessa? I tried to play it off. Jake, you're early. I was just helping Caleb pack up. He was just about to leave. My voice sounded fake, even to my own ears. Jake just stared at me, then at Caleb, who hadn't even bothered to stand up. How long has this been going on? Before I could answer, Caleb, that snake, said about 6 months now. Sorry, man, it just happened. Like we'd been having a full-blown affair. Yes, we'd kissed a few times. Maybe gotten a little handsy on occasion, but it wasn't what he was implying. Jake didn't yell. He didn't break things. He just looked at me with those eyes that had once looked at me with so much love and said, I need you both out of my house. Tonight. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Your house? This is our house. I've been the one living here, paying bills, keeping it running while you've been gone. The house is in my name, Jake said quietly. My military housing allowance pays the mortgage. And my friend Ryan has been taking pictures of what's been going on here for weeks. I've known something was up for a while. Tessa, I just didn't want to believe it. I started crying, partly from shock, but mostly from anger. This was so unfair. He leaves me alone for months and then has the nerve to kick me out because I found some comfort. I turned to Caleb, expecting him to back me up, to stand with me against Jake. Instead, he was already grabbing his jacket. "I'll crash at Tommy's place tonight," he mumbled, not even looking at me. "Text me when you figure things out." And just like that, he was gone. The guy had been professing feelings for me, who'd been my constant companion for 8 months, who knew every detail of my life. He bailed the second things got complicated. I stood there in shock as the door closed behind him. Jake just watched this unfold with this eerily calm expression. "You have an hour to pack what you need for tonight. Come back for the rest when I'm at work tomorrow." He limped past me to the bedroom, our bedroom, and shut the door. I was in complete disbelief. This couldn't be happening. I started frantically calling Caleb, but he wouldn't pick up. I tried my friends, the ones I'd blown off for months, but they either didn't answer or made excuses about why. I couldn't stay with them. Even my own sister said she didn't want to get involved in my mess. Between us, everyone abandoned me when I needed them most. With nowhere else to go and Jake literally watching the clock, I threw whatever I could into suitcases, clothes, toiletries, my laptop, some jewelry. As I was leaving, Jake handed me an envelope. "Divorce papers," he said flatly. "I had them drawn up last month after Ryan sent me pictures of you and Caleb kissing in the driveway. I was going to talk to you when I got home, try to work things out maybe, but this is beyond fixing." I couldn't process what was happening. "You can't do this," I kept saying. "Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do?" But Jake just opened the door wider, gesturing for me to leave. That first night, I stayed in a cheap motel, still believing Caleb would come through. He'd let me stay with him until I figured things out. We had a connection, right? Wrong. When I finally got hold of him the next day, he laughed. Actually laughed. "Tessa, it was fun, but I'm not looking for anything serious. You've got too much baggage now." Then he had the nerve to add, "Besides, I'd been talking to Kylie again." Kylie, his ex, the woman he'd supposedly been devastated over. Reality hit hard after that. Within a week, my joint accounts with Jake were emptied. His military pay had always been our main income. My part-time office job barely covered food, let alone a place to live in our expensive area. Jake had already told everyone in our social circle his version of events, so former friends crossed the street to avoid me. The military wives community, the one I'd mocked and avoided, closed ranks around Jake completely. I couch surfed with acquaintances for a while, staying until their sympathy wore thin, then moving on. But eventually I ran out of couches. That's how I ended up living in my car, showering at Planet Fitness, and using the free Wi-Fi at McDonald's to look for jobs in apartments I couldn't afford. I had to quit my job when they reduced my hours after Jake's friend, who worked in the same office park, spread rumors about me. The kicker: through mutual connections on social media, I discovered Caleb had moved in with Kylie barely 2 weeks after Jake kicked me out. All his excuses about bad credit and not being able to find a place. Lies. He just wanted free housing while he worked on getting back with his ex. I was just convenient. 3 months into car living, I spotted Jake and some woman coming out of our favorite restaurant. She was pretty in that natural girl next door way I could never pull off. He was smiling. Really smiling the way he used to smile at me. His ankles seemed fully healed as they walked to his car, his arm around her waist. I sank down in my seat, hoping they wouldn't notice the dirty Honda with steamed-up windows in the corner of the parking lot. So here I am, living in my car while Jake moves on and Kaylee plays happy families with his ex. Everyone treats me like I'm the villain in this story, but what about Jake abandoning me for months? What about Caleb using me and then throwing me away? What about all those so-called friends who ghosted me when I needed them? Nobody considers that I was just trying not to be lonely, trying to feel something other than abandoned. Yesterday, I saw on social media that Jake sold our house. Our house. He's moving to Houston with his new girlfriend. She's in the military too, some officer he met during physical therapy. They look disgustingly happy in their photos. Meanwhile, I'm trying to scrape together enough money for an apartment in the worst part of town because nobody will rent to me with my credit score, which tanked after Jake took me off all our accounts. Caleb and Kylie are engaged now. They're having a baby. A baby dot after he told me for 3 years he wasn't ready for marriage or children. I guess he just wasn't ready for marriage or children with me. Between us, I hope she realizes what a user he is before it's too late, but she probably won't. She always was kind of desperate. The military wives still give me death glares whenever I run into them around town, like they're so perfect. I know for a fact that Shannon's husband cheated on his first deployment and Danielle's husband came back with a drinking problem, but sure, I'm the monster for letting an ex keep me company when I was abandoned. Some days I think about moving away, starting fresh somewhere else, but I have no money, no references for jobs or apartments, and apparently no marketable skills beyond making men think I'm worth coming home to, only to be discarded when convenient. I've applied to jobs in Dallas, Phoenix, even Chicago, but the responses are few and the offers are worse than what I can find here. People say I should have seen this coming, but I made my choices, and now I have to live with the consequences. But I didn't choose for Jake to leave me alone for a year. I didn't choose for Caleb to lie and use me. I didn't choose for everyone to believe the worst of me without hearing my side. The real problem? Everyone expects military wives to be these perfect, patient saints who just sit around waiting for their heroes to come home. We're supposed to suffer in silence and be grateful for the sacrifice. Well, I was suffering. I was lonely and sad and tired of being the one left behind. But nobody wants to hear that part of the story, Dot, so yes, I made a mistake letting Caleb move in. I made a mistake kissing him. But do I deserve to lose everything? To be homeless? To be treated like I'm nothing? No, I deserve better than what Jake gave me, better than what Caleb gave me, better than what this life has given me. And someday, when I'm back on my feet, they'll all see what they threw away. Jake will realize his perfect new girlfriend isn't so perfect after all. Caleb will get bored playing family man with Kylie just like he got bored with me. And all those people who turned their backs on me will regret not being there when I needed them. Until then, I'll be here washing my hair in a gym sink, sleeping in a Honda, wondering how my life went so wrong when all I wanted was not to be alone.